Today, I'm going to tell you a story, a true story, about how I met my online friend in real life for the first time. This story starts in December 2022, the day before New Year's. I just set up my new PC, and it could actually play games on that PC, and I couldn't just run all the essential stuff. So I wanted to play a game that wasn't on console for the first time. And I was at 18 years of age playing my first ever PC game. However, I didn't know what to play. I went through the Steam store and I found one game that everyone was talking about that I've never played because it was never on console. So I bought the game, I downloaded it, and within a few hours of playing that game, I was immediately hooked. I met so many nice people in that game. Some I don't even talk to, and some I speak to every so often. But they're still really good friends of mine, and I'm grateful that I met them. But it wasn't until a few months later that I would meet him. Fast forward to about September 2023. I met someone who would introduce me to a lot of really cool friends. And for the sake of this video, I'll keep their names a secret. Actually, I'll give them new names. I'd rather do that. I met someone named Joel. We'll call him Joel. And he and I met in a mini game in this game that we were playing. Because in this game there are mini games within a game. And he pulled me aside in a voice chat and said, I really like you, I want to be friends with you, but I have a friend group and I spend so much time with them, it'd be really hard to talk to you one-on-one without them getting in the way. So I was wondering if you wanted to join our friend group. And immediately I said yes, because Joel was a nice guy. He was really fun to play with, and I'm very grateful that he was here with me. So I said yes. I didn't really have many friends playing that game. And even though I spent so much time on it, and I played it for quite a long time up to this point, I didn't really have any friends to play with, so I saw this as a new opportunity for me. So I gracefully wanted to meet his friends, and that was when I met him, the guy that this story is about. I met his friends the next day, and they were all very nice and very welcoming to me, which is what I appreciated. I was very shy around them, I remember that. And his three friends were named, what should we call them? Well, there was two girls, one named Crystal and one named Abby. And then there was a guy there. And let's call him Alex. Alex was the person that I grew really close to and eventually met. I first met Alex and he seemed very outgoing, and surprisingly to me, he was British. I recognized that immediately from his accent, and that was when we immediately hit it off. I said, you sound British, where are you from? He said he lives up north, and I said I live down south. So we were quite far away from each other in the country, but I didn't mind. He called me immediately posh, and found my voice to be adorable, which it isn't. My voice is not adorable. It isn't. And after we started talking, I remember we went to a place in-game that was like a bar area. And he was a bartender. It was like a role-playing session. He was role-playing as a bartender. He was handing out drinks, and that was when I started talking to him a bit more about how he got into the game and how he joined the friend group, how he met Abby and Crystal, and how he met Joel, which is the person who I met. I told him how I met the friend group, And then we gave each other our Discords. I remember showing him what my face looked like, and he said that I looked amazing. He looked good too, when he showed me a picture of his face. I don't show my face to anyone anymore, because I'm too shy. But I remember his reaction. He was talking to someone else briefly at the time. When I gave him that picture, he stopped the conversation and looked at me, and he said that I looked amazing, which I didn't hear much of, because many people that I talk to don't really tell me how pretty I look. So I was kind of taken aback by that. And then, after that conversation, we started playing games with each other as much as we could. Even though we had work and I had college, I still tried to make time for him. And that was when we started calling on Discord and was FaceTiming a lot, which is really important to us. He said that he was gay, and so was I. And we started taking an interest in each other a little bit more than friends. I didn't really know what to label the relationship that we had. And I don't either, to be honest with you. I wouldn't really say we were boyfriends when we first met. And I don't really think we ever were, but I'd say that we're more so like in a constant talking phase. It was really weird, but I was okay with that. Because after all, I didn't like long distance. I still don't. And I couldn't really build a relationship with someone that I've never met in real life. But that was when it hit me. I should go meet him in real life. I called him the next day when I had this idea and said to Alex, how do you feel about meeting up? And he said, I would love to do that. I couldn't see him at all during the school, but I remember feeling like his eyes lit up the second I said this to him. He loved this idea. I did too. I decided to book up train tickets to go and see him. And then I told my parents about it. My parents were furious. I remember that I said that I was planning on going up north to see someone named Alex. And they were so confused and angry because they didn't know him. And they haven't met him. And they almost forbid me from going. But then they realized that I'm 18 and they trust my judgment. I've said that I FaceTime called him and that everything was okay. He is who he says he is. I have his address from when he lived there, so just in case that they wanted to check up on the place, they could. I would text them every morning and night to make sure that they know that I am still alive and that they could always track me on their phone if they need to. Because remember, even though at this point it is now the Christmas holidays and I was going up and getting ready to see him for the very first time in real life, I still wanted to make sure that I was safe, just in case. And I, even though don't agree with some of the things my parents did do growing up, I appreciated them for this. And always make sure you're safe whenever you're meeting someone online. Always make sure you're safe. Kit tip. But back to the story. I had to go through central London on the underground tube station to then go from London up north to where he is. And because I don't go there that often, and my dad occasionally goes into London for work, I confided in him to take me up to where I needed to be before I got on the train to leave. I was really nervous. I remember shaking, cuddling my dad before I left on the train to go up. I was so afraid of what he might think of me, of what Alex might think of me. And I was just hoping that he liked me. I was on a train for about 2.5 hours, thinking about where he's going to be, and is everything going to be okay? I got on the train up, and the train got at its final destination, and he was waiting on the other side of the platform to see me, and I could barely even step out of the train. My heart was pounding. I remember listening to all the pop hits from 2016, thinking to myself, just be your authentic self, be calm and collected, and everything will be okay. But I am so nervous. My head spinning, arms weak, mum spaghetti. I could barely step out of the train. I was texting him on Discord a lot and said, "Where are you? Is everything okay?" I remember him saying that I'm waiting by the Christmas tree. Because remember, it was December at this point. So I looked to find a Christmas tree where he was standing at. There was like 5 Christmas trees there in that one train station. He said to me, "Go to the one with the red baubles." They all had red baubles. Eventually, I saw him there, and he looked just like him from the pictures that he sent me. And the minute that we had eye contact, I ran up to him almost at full speed, and my eyes were so teary. And then I just gave him the biggest hug. I practically jumped into him. I was so excited to see him, and I clipped his chin with my arm when I went to cuddle him, but he didn't mind. Eventually, he said, "Hi, how are you?" My chin hurt, and then the rest was history. I remember that I was extremely shy when he took me up to where his flat was. Anyone who knows me in real life watching this knows I'm very shy in real life. Like, I almost don't talk when I'm meeting people for the first time. So I remember getting to his house and waiting for him to tell me what I can and can't do. Like, can I take my shoes off? Can I go into certain rooms? Can I not go into certain rooms? I took my shoes off and I started unpacking because I realized that if I wasn't doing anything, then I was going to have a breakdown because I was so nervous. This is the first time I've ever done this sort of thing. I went to the bathroom. I managed to get everything out in terms of my toiletries out of my bag. I went to then put my clothes in the floor because I was too afraid to ask to put my clothes in his closet. And then I realized right then and there that we are sharing a bed together. I have never done anything like this for anyone. This was a huge leap for me, and I was stepping outside of my comfort zone. But I didn't mind. I remember when I finished, I put my bag down near the kitchen, and he said to me that he spent over £100 at the Lego store, and he wanted me to build something with him. At first I started to question why he spent that much money at the Lego store, but then I realized I should probably stop asking questions and just get on with it. He said if I wanted to make a bonsai tree or finish the Hogwarts Legacy Castle that he was starting to build a day before I went over to go see him. And I said Hogwarts Legacy Castle, because why not? I started building that, and it took my mind off things, because I was so laser focused on trying to get this fucking castle done. He said to me, "Do you have any of these pieces? Do you have any of these pieces?" And sometimes we're missing a few pieces, so we had to scour the entire apartment just to see if we can get it. It was great. And then we had Big Bang Theory playing in the background. I remember the first night, we didn't really do anything. We just played with Legos. He made me a bacon sandwich, which I didn't mind because I really needed meat or protein to eat for that night. I then laid down on the couch after finishing the meal, and he sat behind me and laid my head on his lap and kissed my forehead for the first time. And I then realized that I belong here. This is where I belong now. I feel so much safer than I initially thought I'd ever feel coming to a place like this. And I wasn't scared at all past this point, because I felt so safe on his lap. And then we decided to go to bed around about 11 p.m. or midnight. And at first I was thinking about making a move. Like maybe a kiss or something, but I remember I was really scared. And then I just remember just trying to get into my sleepwear, which was just a pair of boxers. And then I went to bed by his side. And I remember this being a new thing for me, because I haven't slept in a double bed with anyone before. I've slept in a double bed by myself in hotel rooms, but that's because they're very comfortable. This is with a real human being at the other side of the bed that I've only met online. So I didn't know what to do. So I just stayed as still as I can in one position the entire time. Eventually, the next morning came, and I went to turn around and see if he was awake, and he was. I don't really think that we slept that well either, because we were all really scared about how we would feel in the same bed for the first time. But he didn't seem scared at all by this point. He said to me, "Good morning, cutie," and then he kissed me for the first time. I've been kissed before. I've been kissed by my ex-boyfriend before this point, and I knew what it felt like, I knew what I had to do, but this became so much of a shock to me because I wasn't expecting it. It was really surprising, but I liked it a lot. I then remember that we stayed in bed for a little bit before I got up. I then showered for the first time in his shower, and it smelled just like him. And I couldn't stop thinking about him, even though he was at the other side of the house. And I could just go over and see him. I just couldn't stop thinking about him. I then remember, after we've showered, he took me to the Christmas festival. I had so much fun there. It was in walking distance of his house, so it wasn't that far. And there was mini games set up. There was snacks and food. Everything was fresh baked. It was wonderful. It was a must at his neck of the woods. And I'm very happy I got to see it for the first time. I then went to go clothes shopping and buy my parents Christmas gifts whilst I was over there, because it was hooked to a shopping mall. So I could go and get some Christmas stuff. He wanted to get some medical stuff at Boots because he needed more cough medicine. And when I was over there, I got my mom a candle. I thought it was nice because my mom does like smelling salts and candles and things like that. So I thought this was a perfect gift for her. I had a choice between lavender flavor or Greg's pasty flavor. So I bought the lavender flavor candle because I thought that she would like that a lot more. And then after that, we continued finishing the Lego castle thing, the Hogwarts Legacy Lego castle. If I can find it, I'll have a picture of it on the screen for you. But yeah, I'm very grateful that I managed to finish that castle before I left the next morning. Later that night, he then took me out for a date night. We went to a I think it was like a market, but it's kind of hard to describe. It was a mini building with a bunch of other food stalls, and we get to order different food from these food stalls and gather them all on this table to eat. It's like a mukbang type thing, but between the two of us. It was really weird. I had nothing like it before, but I really enjoyed it. And for an activity after we finished dinner was then he took me bowling, just me and him. I remember doing certain parts of that bowling. When we got a strike or a spare, we just hold hands and cuddle. It would be amazing if I could go back there again. But he doesn't live there anymore, and a lot has changed, but I'm grateful that I went there. I woke up the next morning and I slept so much better the night before. I said that I'd have to leave and I'd be back quite late during the night when I got back home to my hometown, because the train trip and the whole journey as a whole would be about 6 to 12 hours. So I was really scared of falling asleep on the train and missing my stop. So he gave me 3 energy drinks in my bag so I wouldn't fall asleep. It was hilarious. But I got to try new energy drinks I didn't try before, so I guess that was good. But I was wide awake after that because I didn't want to fall asleep. And it was a good thing that I did drink it either way. I remember saying goodbye. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. In fact, it was the hardest thing to do in the entire journey. I remember holding his hand, cuddling him for the last time at the train station, and then eventually letting him go. From holding hands to holding fingertips to then letting go. It wasn't easy, but it was a trip I needed to have. And I'm very happy I did it. Thank you very much for listening to this video. I'm not sure if I could put this type of video on my channel because I wanted to focus more on, story, role-playing, and ASMR content, rather than me opening up about real-life stories. But if you've stayed this far into this video, I assume it means that you enjoyed it. I hope. If you want more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below, because I have a lot more stories to tell you guys, and I'd be more than happy to share them. So yes, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up or a comment, and tell me if you want to hear more real life stories that I've gone through to maybe make you feel a bit better about yourself, or to make you feel warm and cozy at home, especially in this winter season. Have a nice, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because this will be the last video I'm uploading for 2024. So, thank you very much for all the support I've been getting this year, and thank you very much for sticking along for the ride. I'll see you next year. Bye bye!